it's so annoying. Why can't people just say thank you? It's like I don't even exist. It's one of those things that we can all agree on. When you hold open a door for someone, when you put yourself out to make their day a little bit easier, it's extremely annoying. In fact, it's not even annoying, it can be enraging when they do not say thank you. Sometimes they don't even acknowledge your presence. They just sweep past like the Queen of England. Well, not anymore, obviously, because she's... So the question is, why is it annoying? And more importantly, how can we not be annoyed by it? And even better, what does moral philosophy have to say about it? And does the answer lie at all with these guys? Karl Marx, Immanuel Kant, and Frasier Crane. And no, I'm not going to do any of that, oh, they're probably just having a worse day than you, they could have just been fired, or maybe their wife just left them, it's not you, it's them. You've heard all of that self-decentering stuff before, best of all from people like the legendary David Foster Wallace. And while that stuff is very important, it's fantastic, it's very helpful, that's not what I want to talk about. The question to ask then is, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to be kind? Or are you doing it because you expect something in return, i.e. to be thanked? And if it's the latter, then you're seeing it as a transaction. You may not be receiving money, but essentially you're treating it as if it were a service for which you expect to receive payment. In this case, the words, thank you. So I expect most of you would say, well, of course it's an act of kindness. I just want to be thanked. I just want some recognition for my kindness. And the problem here is that if you need or expect to be thanked for doing it, then it's not an act of kindness. Presumably when you donate to charity or tidy your hotel room a bit to make the cleaner's job a little bit easier, you don't then expect a gushing email of thanks from the charity or the hotel, otherwise you feel angry and resentful for having done it. I would like to think that you aren't the sort of person who posts these acts of kindness on social media in order to signal what a good person you are, and thereby immediately undermine the value in what you're doing. We know what this is called. It's called virtue signaling. But more to the point, it treats these acts of kindness as if they were transactions. You do them in order to receive praise or thanks, a kind of reward. And if you don't, then it kind of makes the act of kindness feel less worthwhile for you. You kind of wish you hadn't done it. And if this is the case, if you are treating acts of kindness as something transactional, and that includes opening a door for someone and expecting to receive thanks, then I would have a simple suggestion for you. Don't do it. I mean, on the one hand, the person or the charity still benefits from your actions in a material way. Their life becomes a little bit easier for a few seconds, or they receive some money to help their cause. But actually, ethically, and we'll come back to this, it's not an act of kindness at all. It's a transaction. And it's not the reason you should be doing those things. Because to treat acts of kindness in this way not only undermines their ethical value, it's harmful to you. In the 19th century, Karl Marx coined the term commodity fetishism. What he meant by this was that the way humans were starting to relate to one another was being defined more by economic exchange than it was by, well, natural human relationships. This, said Marx, was a result of industrial capitalism invading everything, the public and the private space. What Marx meant by fetishism was giving something an almost religious quality, that is, putting material exchange front and centre of human experience, giving the market a godlike status. Everything in the world now becomes defined by transaction rather than by simply humans relating to one another in a way that doesn't require give and take. Something that should be underwritten by love and kindness and altruism now becomes underwritten by the principles of the market. Now, of course, Marx wasn't saying that transaction itself is unnatural. Humans have always needed to do this. We trade copper for iron, silk for spice, iPhones for TV shows. It's how we've existed for millennia. But what Marx meant to say was that the advent of industrial capitalism had ramped this up to the point where now humans were unconsciously worshipping economic exchange in every aspect of their lives. The market had invaded all the crawl spaces of human existence. We start to wear what Marx called die Charaktermaske, the character mask. I become the buyer or the seller, the bourgeois or proletarian, the boss or the worker, rather than a real human being relating to another human being. These ideas get developed later on in the 20th century by figures like Theodor Adorno, who described how the forces of commerce had invaded and colonized the human psyche. The French Marxist Guy Debord, in his book Society of the Spectacle, described how this had now become so bad that even the individual views him or herself as a commodity that can be bought and sold, because they regard every human relation as a business transaction. This is evident not only in the commodification of all things. Even this video can be monetized to make... But it's evident in more insidious ways. For example, how many of you have ever had a friend do a favour for you? Give you a lift, lend you their tent, only to be told sometime later, "Oh, I think you owe me a favour." This is not friendship. This is a business transaction without money. At its worst, it does involve money, and friends end up paying one another for friendship. "Oh, hey, can I borrow your tent for the weekend? I'll give you 20 quid. Incidentally, my advice to you would be, if the friend says yes, get out of that friendship. And this brings us back to holding a door open for someone. It becomes, in our minds, a transaction of some sort. It's not a material transaction, but it's an exchange. The holding of the door is a service, and the thank you is the payment. It's been absorbed by commodity fetishism. It's just another feature of the market. That's how we've come to see it, and it's a significant reason why we get so angry when we don't receive our payment. We've forgotten that an act of human kindness does not require anything in return. Now look, I'm not saying that you should not thank someone when they conspicuously put themselves out for you. Not only is it a rejection of our cultural signals, it's also a rejection of their very existence, and it's kind of a dick move. You should thank someone if they open a door for you, or if they get you a coffee, or whatever. Also, it's nice to be thanked. It's an acknowledgement of the fact that you've put yourself out, and it recognises the fact that you exist. Particularly for someone struggling with low self-esteem, or even someone who's just having a bad day, it can be incredibly destructive for someone to sweep past you without even acknowledging that you're there. And that relates to another issue. We're not just getting annoyed because we didn't receive our payment. We're getting annoyed because, as a society, we've developed a very complex system of cultural signals and social cues. And when someone flouts these unwritten rules, it's very jarring for us. It kind of feels like a rejection of society, like this person sees themselves as above the rules, or perhaps that we're the outcast and we're the ones who are not worthy of receiving the thanks. So yes, it does chafe against our deeply rooted social instincts when someone behaves like this. But more importantly, you need to have a conversation with yourself about why you carry out acts of kindness. Because regardless of the unwritten rules, regardless of the cultural laws of interaction we've developed, acts of kindness only qualify as acts of genuine kindness when they're done without any expectation of praise or reward or thanks. When you film that video of yourself giving to a homeless guy, while the benefits for him are the same either way, you've completely trampled all over the ethical value in what you're doing. And this is because ethics have something called a deontological value. Now, on the one hand, good actions have material consequences regardless of what's going on in the mind of the person doing it. If I give to charity and then I shout about it on social media, the charity still gets the money either way. If I hold open a door for someone and then get really mad if the person doesn't thank me, they've still benefited from me opening the door. This is simple consequentialism. A phrase that we often use to sum it up is the ends justify the means. But good actions are not just defined by the consequences. They're defined by the characteristic of the action itself. This is what we call deontological ethics, generally associated with the philosopher Immanuel Kant. In other words, an act is better if we do it for the right reasons. It makes us a better person. We are spiritually improved from the inside out. There is an episode of Frasier where Frasier Crane, the protagonist, has an ethical dilemma. He can either tell a lie in court, which will help his brother, Or he can tell the truth, and his brother will lose out. The crucial thing is, the court isn't going to know if Frasier lies, only he will know, and there will be no victims of his lying. So, simple consequential ethics would say the answer is clear. Lie, and help your brother. But Frasier doesn't want to lie. He feels it's the wrong thing to do, even though nobody will know. There's a beautiful scene where he's arguing with his dad, Martin, who's pressuring him into lying in court for the sake of his other son. And he says, "Don't worry, no one will know." And Frasier's reply is one of the best summaries of ethics that I've heard. He says, "But Dad, ethics are what we do when no one else is looking." Ethics are what we do when no one else is looking. And the reason for this is that behaving ethically doesn't just help others, it helps us too. It makes us better people, but only if we do it for the right reasons. So, if we donate to charity or go on an anti-racism march and then vaunt it loudly on social media for days to come, we haven't done it for the right reasons, and we're corroding our moral self. We're prioritizing narcissism and image and praise. In other words, we're putting ourselves at the center of the act rather than doing good for good's sake. In a Debordian sense, we are commodifying ourselves under the brand of virtuous activism, placing ourselves in the shop window of social justice. If we hold open a door for someone and feel affronted because they don't thank us, then, well, we haven't done it for the right reason, which was simply to make their day a bit easier, to show them some kindness. And we continue to corrode our moral self. The more we do this, the more we will be selfish and bitter and entitled, and actually, you won't feel very good at all. And look, sometimes this is really hard to do. To carry out virtuous actions without acknowledgement can be really challenging. And what makes it even harder is that the aim isn't even to feel good about doing so. See, if your goal is to feel virtuous, to feel all smug about being so good and not even needing praise or thanks, then you're still doing it for the wrong reasons. You're still ego building, and you're still placing yourself at the center of the universe. Look, I mean, if someone thanks or praises you for something, it's okay to feel good about that. But really, the aim, in fact, of acting virtuously without reward or recognition is to act virtuously, and thereby gradually shrink the ego to chip away at it bit by bit, until ultimately you become a channel for good deeds. As the Buddhist leader Sangharakshita put it, self is a habit, and often a bad habit. And while that's very hard to do, in the end you will feel better, because the need for praise and recognition and reward comes from a painful place. And the less you need it, the more at peace you'll be. So the next time you're thinking of holding open a door for someone and you really need to be thanked, take a pause. And if necessary, don't do it at all, until you're ready not to be thanked. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'm not doing it for the likes, the irony. But if you did, please do hit the like button as it helps the video spread, and please subscribe to my channel for similar videos. I'll see you next time.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. Book now with just a £60 deposit per person.